Hello, welcome back to the Big Fresh Tomatoes. Here we're going to be. What are we doing?
We're talking about Rogue One,
Rogue One.
the Star Wars story.
Yeah, we just saw it last night, and we're going to talk about how we feel. I'm going to start off by saying I think I'm going to be really biased in this because my expectations were really, really, really low.
Yours were a lot lower than mine.
Mine were really, really low. So anything positive I have to say, take it with a grain of salt because we all thought the last one was good, for a week, right?
I thought it was good for a couple. Well, the thing I always say about it is, I was sitting there watching the movie. I saw it twice the week it came out, and both times I was like, I hate this movie. I hate this movie. I hate this movie. But I was like, it's Star Wars. I have to like it. I have to like it. It's Star Wars.
Really, I didn't feel that way. When I first saw it, I genuinely liked it. And then I was like, it didn't dawn on me till later that it had just no staying power, and the bad ended up standing out more than the good.
I guess that's similar to how I felt, but I felt the bad in the moment too.
Yeah.
But it didn't become more prevalent to me until I had some time to digest and think about it.
So keep that in mind when we're talking about Rogue One, because we saw it yesterday, so
opinions
are subject to change, and they probably will. But yeah, I think it was definitely better.
Oh yeah, much better. I thought better. New Hope wasn't, or not New Hope. Just called it New Hope.
I know.
Force Awakens.
Yeah, Force Awakens.
Force Awakens. Thank you.
Yeah.
Force Awakens.
New Hope. It's not better than New Hope. I promise.
Force Awakens isn't total garbage. Mm-hmm. It's competent. It knows what it's doing.
True.
But it has no substance.
I guess okay. So here's my theory, and I'll ask you if you feel the same way about this one as you do Rogue One. One of my main problems with The Force Awakens was that it seemed like it was more important to the movie to set up something and become this big extended universe thing like Marvel's trying to do and all these people. It felt like it was more important to set that up than actually be a good movie.
You're definitely right.
Do you feel the same way about Rogue One? Is the thing?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
Rogue One, I applaud them for trying something different.
Yeah,
and it worked for the most part. This, the big question I had was so if it's about getting the Death Star plans, we know they get the Death Star plans.
Yeah,
so how the hell is it going to end? And I feel like they had a good enough story that I felt I got my money's worth.
Yeah, no, I agree. The thing is that it did sort of cheapen it for me a little bit because we kind of had an idea of what was going to happen. I think they didn't flat out say it ever, I don't think. They might have. We kind of had a feeling that, spoiler alert, they were all going to die at the end.
Yeah, and they'd all die at the end.
We should edit out the spoiler alert because, if anybody honestly doesn't know that they all die at the end, I don't know what you're expecting.
Yeah.
It seemed pretty obvious they were going to do that. I'm glad for the most part there was one or two, but when everyone was killed off, it wasn't super dramatic because that's something that gets annoying to me. I can understand in a series, in a couple movies or in a TV show or in a video game, they have a lot more time for you to get invested in characters. But since we knew this was just going to be a one-off movie, I feel like they did both a good and bad thing in not trying to get us invested in the characters too much because they knew, barring one thing I might mention later, that they weren't really going to be characters that are around for much longer, and they knew if they tried to squeeze some emotion out of us from those characters, it would be almost pointless.
Yeah,
because we knew so little about all of them.
It's the good part of it is they had the main character, the girl. I don't know her name.
I don't remember any of their names.
She was decent. You understood her motivations.
Yes.
And when she died, it was okay, I can feel this at least a little bit, but not too much and not too little, I think.
Yeah.
The rest of them, I felt like they're the robot and the captain pilot man were so underdeveloped that and the robot's death was so dramatic. I
didn't think the robot's death was too bad.
I thought he had a last word line and everything. I was like,
yeah, it was a little too much for me. The Asian monk guy, when he died, literally in the guy's arm, in I call them poor man's Danny Trejo's arms. Poor man's Danny Trejo.
Here's the funny thing about that. I've been thinking about this movie all day since we're making.
Me too. Yeah.
I completely forgot about the Asian guy until
yeah,
right
that's
now.
that's a great
It just
point.
went completely
No,
over my head when you just mentioned that. I was like, oh yeah,
that is
he
important
existed.
that you actually said that because I think everybody forgot about that character and D level Danny Trejo, whatever you want to call him, Danny Trejo Jr.
With Big Gun.
With Big Gun, yeah, and you totally completely forgot about them. They were so meaningless. It feels like they just brought them on because they wanted to have more people in the squad to make it like a
squad movie.
It felt like they were trying to be more like a slightly less funny Guardians of the Galaxy than they were like a Star Wars movie. Okay, this is the weirdest.
Spot on.
Yeah, this is the weirdest thing. This is the big thing I'm going to touch on. It's just a sweeping thing. I'll see how you feel about it. My favorite and least favorite thing about this movie were they didn't feel like a Star Wars movie at all.
I think that's a good thing.
I know. I think it's the good thing and a bad thing. I
Why is
think
it a
mostly
bad thing?
good. I think, because it's a Star Wars movie,
That's
it should
true.
feel at least a little bit like a Star Wars movie.
I can agree with that.
But generally, I was hoping it would play out almost more like sort of a war movie, which generally speaking, I think that it did.
It did for the most part. The action scenes were really well done.
Way too long.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that was an issue with Force Awakens too. The big
Yeah.
scene where they blew up what's its planet
Yeah.
boy thing.
I remember we were in the theater, and the main battle scene, and I want to first of all preface this by saying the action sequences are amazing. They're
really well done.
Really
they
well
got.
done.
I mean, like
There was one scene that really bugged me, and I'll get to that later probably.
Okay.
But the big battle scene at the end was way, way, way too long, and like 25 minutes into it, I hear him just go, "I'm bored." Like it's just like if something explodes, it's not exciting the 30th time it explodes in 5 minutes. It was just too much.
I think
It was like
part of the
and I'll end it here. It was like the Stairway to Heaven solo. Really good guitar solo, but it's just too fucking long.
the studio version isn't that long.
True. Like everybody listens to live versions. So.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just want to get your feelings on.
I thought Force Awakens battle scene at the end was too long.
Yeah.
Way too long.
Yeah.
But there was I had no connection to that. I was like, I don't care about anything going on right here. This sucks and I hate it.
Right.
This one, I was like, this is well done. I invested in this partially at least, and it's going on just a little too long. And I felt like part of that was they had to kill off everybody, and everybody had to get their own death scene. So I was like, if they didn't do that, this would have been 10 minutes shorter.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I wanted there to be an amazing battle scene at the end. But here's the thing: you were saying it felt more important to you, or it felt more memorable than.
I felt more invested.
More invested, yeah. That's the thing. The crazy thing is, even though we already knew what was going to happen, we still felt more invested.
Yeah.
Like, we already knew they were probably all going to die, and we knew they got the plans up to wherever. We knew that happened. We already knew. Yet, we're more invested in something we already knew the outcome to something that we didn't. That's kind of crazy to think about, if you know what I'm saying.
So is that just good filmmaking, or is it?
I think so. Because it definitely... It's weird. I'm not 100% sure, because we definitely weren't invested in the characters as much in this movie for me.
I didn't give a shit about anybody in Force Awakens.
In Force Awakens?
Yeah.
Well, I kind of...
What are you comparing this to right now?
Where am I comparing this to?
Yeah, you're saying you felt more invested in this one, or in something else.
What I'm saying is I felt more invested in Rogue One, the end battle scene, than I did in the other one, even though we
Force Awakens?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or in Force Awakens battle scene, even though we knew what was going to happen, and that's just kind of crazy.
Yeah, I think it's good filmmaking. They wrote the characters better. Like,
True.
Rebel Girl chick.
Yeah.
Rebel Girl chick was a decent character. I enjoyed her. She wasn't annoying. She was good. You understood what she wanted.
Yeah.
She grew. She changed throughout the course of the movie.
Yes.
And I appreciated that, but aside from her, it was just everybody else was
Yeah.
bad. But because of her, I was able to enjoy and be invested in that final battle.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on her a little bit. I can't really expand much more with it, but how come... I don't know if it's just me, but it seems like almost every female protagonist is really annoying.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why, actually. It's not obviously anything to do with the fact that they're female protagonists. What it is they want to write them as, I'm a girl and I'm badass. And it feels so just like forced and cringy. She has real moments of weakness in Rogue One. Like, you see her cry, like, multiple times. And they normally don't do that. They normally do the, like, put on my steel dentures and bite on dicks. I'm too fucking hard.
Yeah.
When they make a female protagonist, they they make them way like almost overly masculine to not offend everyone. Like she's a chick and she kicks butt. It's just really annoying. Like and whereas her, she had moments of weakness, which all characters, in order to be good, I think, have to have.
I agree, and every single one of those was understandable.
Yeah.
And and this was the big thing, and this is why we had lists of things that we were going to think were bad with the movie and things we wouldn't like about the movie, and we decided to throw them out because everything that we thought was going to be bad, they did they did it well for the most part, and everything that and the vice versa. Yeah.
It was obviously not everything. There were
much.
We knew there were going to be overdramatic deaths,
yeah.
which was annoying. They didn't force any like weird Jedi. Really, they didn't really force Jedis into it. I thought they would.
The Force guy was a little bit. The Force Asian guy was a little bit, and then exactly. Darth Vader there at the end going on a killing spree was a little bit.
Yeah,
weird.
That was okay with me. The fact that there was, spoiler alert, no lightsaber battle in this movie was, I can't even like. That's a huge step forward. They're severing the umbilical cord of needing to have a lightsaber fight in every movie.
Yeah, which I was very pleased with.
Yeah, I was extremely pleased.
I was. This is something that bugged the crap out of me.
Sure.
I went to Disneyland over the summer, and they have the Star Tours ride, and I went on the Star Tours ride, and it's pretty cool. It's like a flight simulator type ride.
Oh, okay.
And we got off of it and exit through the gift shop, and in the gift shop they have a little like booth where they sell all kinds of lightsaber stuff.
Right.
And they have a big screen on the booth that is just lightsaber fights from the movies playing on a loop. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, this isn't the point of lightsaber fights.
No.
Lightsabers aren't the point of lightsaber fights.
No.
And it was like a moral conundrum.
Yeah, no, I totally understand you. Speaking of, I agree with that completely. You talked about the Asian monk guy, the blind swordsman sort of dude.
Yeah.
He was probably my least favorite character. If you had to pick a least favorite character.
I mean, I wouldn't say he's necessarily a bad character. I just didn't give a crap about him.
Well, yeah. Here's the reason he's my least favorite character. For one, he's blind. LOL. That's like the whole thing, the whole joke. But mostly, it's what it was. Is they meet him in the ancient temple of the Jedi on that sand planet, wherever it was.
Sorry. It wasn't an ancient Jedi, was it? I thought it was like a. It was the prison. It was the prison. It was the
prison. Right. Well, whatever. The place that gets blown up by the Death Star.
Yeah.
And Rey, I'm just gonna call her Rey 2.0. Better than Rey. Whatever. Cool. The chick walks by him and he says, I'll tell you where your necklace came from for a buckaroonie of Splatoon or whatever the fuck he said. And she was like, how'd you know she was wearing a scarf and he was blind? She was like, how do you know I'm wearing a necklace? And he's like, I'll tell you if whatever. And then they left and they eventually met back up.
In the prison. They met in the town, the Tatooine-looking city.
Yes,
and then
yes. They meant mini Tatooine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tatooine on a plateau. Platooine.
Platooine, yeah. Fucking retarded.
That's so stupid.
Edit that out.
Platooine.
Okay, but my problem was when they met back up, like, I felt like the whole point of his character was gonna be that he was gonna reveal something about the Force or the future, or have something, or tell her that her necklace had some dumb significance, which I'm really glad it didn't end up having.
Yeah, it was lightsaber crystal.
It was just exactly. I'm glad it didn't end up being the key to something, because that would have made me fucking jerk off in pure rage. But
in the movie theater,
on
Paul Rubens, we dedicate
on the back
this video.
Of the woman in front of his neck.
Paul Rubens, we dedicate this video to you.
Yeah, I was about to go ballistic in that theater, and since we're Colorado based, that's pretty.
that's a big no.
That's a big no. But what was I saying?
Wait. Yeah. One before the movie started, we were sitting there talking about our lists and whatnot.
Yeah.
And we said, "Man, if this happens, we're gonna go ballistic." But not that kind of ballistic. Not that kind of ballistic.
Yeah. Okay, but what was I saying? Yeah, but he didn't end up really having any use to them at all.
Yeah. He was important early on, and I thought, this is my opinion about all the characters for the most part, except for the droid. Cool ideas. Mm-hmm. I was like, yeah, if you took the time to develop that character and gave him motivations and made us feel connected to him, I would have really liked him. I think it's a good idea, but they didn't. So
Right.
I think it's bad because it's like they didn't do all that, but it's not like terrible. I can see the effort and the ideas. It's just not executed. I didn't see any effort to develop him as a character,
Well,
which is why I like the girl so much. Is because they did. You could see the effort in developing her.
Yes, I agree, and part of it I understand is just that they didn't have enough time, and I get that. So speaking of there not being enough time, let me talk about the first like 40 minutes of this movie.
Okay, I know what you're
Because
about
we're
to
all
say.
talking about how we generally like. I'm just gonna say right now, generally speaking, and again, this is gonna be subject to change. I liked it.
Yeah,
I liked it, but the first like because it you forget because you watch the whole rest of the movie, but the first half hour, every scene is like 45 seconds long, and they changed
the first half hour. It felt really long.
Yeah, it felt like it. We were probably exaggerating.
About 20 minutes. First
Yeah.
15 to 20 minutes,
Yeah.
they change scenes.
And they do a thing where every time they're on a new planet, they show you an overview of a ship landing on the planet and say,
The name of
Planet
the
A,
planet.
this is what we're doing on this planet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they literally did that like 6 times
In the first
like
15
And I'm like,
minutes.
can we just? I was like, I honestly don't remember one of those first scenes.
I remember
like,
Jedi because
I
I was like,
literally-
it sounds like they say Jedi every time
yeah,
they say
I was
it.
literally just thinking like, I'm actually like, I can't follow this right now.
No.
Like, but yeah, no, I was like, can we please just have a scene last a couple minutes so I can get into it? Did you agree about that?
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah.
I was having a lot of difficulty following it, like you
Yeah.
said. I had no clue what was
Yeah.
going on for the most part. I was like,
Yeah, it made me worry that the pacing for the movie was going to be really bad. It ended up being okay,
yeah, it's just the first 15 minutes
Yeah.
was whack.
but here is Did you want to touch on the robot character? Because I talked about why the Asian guy's my least favorite.
The robot guy, droid, pissed me off.
Yeah,
It was this droid, and I don't know if they were trying to copy C-3PO a little bit. He was just really sarcastic, and I don't remember his name. And
I don't remember any character's name. I'll say that right now.
He was just, all of his lines were just some sort of like quip or like, ooh, he's witty, but
Yeah.
a droid isn't necessarily witty. Like
Right.
C-3PO is funny. C-3PO is comic relief,
Right.
but why is he funny? What is he like? Think about like why is he doing?
I don't
the
know. It's
things
like
he's
okay. It's like
because
this.
C-3PO is a scaredy cat.
It's the same dynamic. It's the same reason that every single like animated TV show has one snarky character. You ever seen Daniel Tosh's show Brickleberry?
I saw an episode and I killed myself.
It's just like Daniel Tosh probably should at this point.
He wanted to. His plan was on his 40th birthday. He had a countdown timer on the homepage of his website
that's pretty
to his
funny.
40th birthday, and was said when Daniel kills himself.
That's epic. That's epic. But there's always that one just like snarky comic, like just like whatever I'm gonna. And it was really just cringy, and it came off as forced, and it came off as I call it the producer character, where there's the people of the movie making business who are all clearly very competent. The people who made this movie obviously knew about story structure, pacing, all that, because they did a very good job. Everything looked good. You know what I mean? Like they clearly know how to make a movie. But he's the producer character where I know like some person from Disney just put his head in the door like and was like, "Hey, yo, you gotta add a snarky robot. Okay, bye." You know, like I feel like there's one or two of those characters in almost every media. You know, there's always just one like fan service character that's really annoying and
Yeah,
obnoxious. And
fan service is a good word for him.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. He was the Groot of this movie.
I never saw Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, we just lost 15 subscribers, but
Don't if you
It
unsubscribe, I'm making another video.
it wasn't that good. Guardians of the Galaxy, but
I heard it was decent.
it was fun.
Okay,
That's all I
cool.
can say about it. But
Nothing wrong with that.
no, okay. So here's my biggest complaint with Rogue One. The most intelligent complaint I could come up with.
Okay.
It seemed to me like they were trying to force conflicts a lot more than needed to be. Let me explain. The villains. First of all, I'm going to say the villain, like the main villain of this movie, is the most uninteresting, unmemorable character in anything ever.
Who is the main villain?
Exactly. You don't even know. Like the guy in the white.
I didn't know he was supposed to be the main villain.
He was, because remember he's the one who pulled out the gun and shot at them when they were climbing up that thing at the end.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
and they they had their dramatic roof standoff with him, so he was the main villain.
Okay.
And they just cut to that whole plot line was completely pointless. We didn't need to know anything about those people. I felt like that whole plot line of there's like two generals or whatever. They're both kind of fucking with each other because they both want to be in charge of the Death Star. I guess was what was happening.
Yeah.
There was no reason for any of that. It was completely just filler. There was nothing. Like, it was so unmemorable. He was so boring and uninteresting. And I remember when he pulled out the gun and was shooting at them, I'm like, he doesn't seem like the character who would do, like, he's a general, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
an older, like, armchair general. He doesn't seem like he'd be the one to jump into the fray. Like, I don't know. I thought he was, well, just like our main problem in general is characters are bad in this in general.
Yeah.
Except for the main character.
Except for them, yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, I thought that whole plotline was stupid. I thought there was a little too many plot lines going on.
What plot lines were there? Because I'm not even picking up on this. I was like, I didn't perceive him as being...
So here's the example of why they're forcing too many conflicts.
Okay.
Like, I'll give you an example. Okay, so there was that guy having their rivalry thing, which didn't need to be in the movie at all. There's Darth Vader having a thing with that guy, which Darth Vader's didn't need to be in the movie at all, really. He's only in 2 scenes, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
And one of them...
We'll talk about that.
Yeah. Also, there's a really small back plot that you didn't probably even notice because it was so tiny. The Asian guy, the blind swordsman, and the Danny Trejo lookalike, they didn't like each other because, like, that guy was, like, sort of weirdly fanatic.
I thought they were, like, friends still. I thought they were, like, buddies, but he's like, man, this guy's a kook.
Yeah.
But I like him because he's blind.
But then at the end or whatever, he finds religion when he dies in his arms, you know? And, like,
Yeah.
I thought that was a mini plot line that went on that was kind of dumb. They didn't need to have, like, any tension between them.
Especially because they only addressed it, like, 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, then there was the thing about how the Empire wanted him to assassinate her dad, but then he didn't want to assassinate their dad, and they ended up bombing him anyway, but they didn't really want to do it because they didn't know, and it's like that whole thing was kind of pointless.
Mm-hmm.
The Empire, the Rebels never needed to have that whole... The runtime of the movie would have been no different if they didn't put in a couple lines where they were like, we need you to actually assassinate this guy. You know what I mean? They could have just bombed him accidentally, and it would have the exact same effect.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. So I felt like there was a lot of there was more conflict than there needed to be in the plot. Because they're like, the thing is, they're already fighting a war. There doesn't need to be, like, a bunch of personal conflicts. I didn't think it was necessary.
Yeah. And that's part of what made the original trilogy so good is they had the war, but the personal conflicts were a part of that war.
Right.
Like, Luke, to blow up the Death Star, had to discover the Force.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And obviously, the person teaching the Force and the person in charge of the Death Star had a relationship, Yoda and Anakin, a.k.a. Darth Vader.
Well, Obi-Wan.
Yeah. They all had a relationship with each other, you know what I mean? So, like, since they already existed, sort of, and they had a relationship with each other, it made the personal conflicts just blend into it seamlessly. They were trying really hard to force that to happen, I feel like. And I don't think, since these weren't characters that were going to stick around, we didn't need a lot of personal conflict.
That's a very good point, and I did not think of that.
Yeah, that's the most intelligent complaint I would say I have about the movie.
That's very good.
Yeah.
So, just to recap before we get into some nitpicky stuff.
Yeah, I have a lot.
What are the things you like about the movie?
Okay, and some of the things I like are kind of nitpicky too. You said you did, but I didn't feel like the deaths were too overdramatic.
Mm-hmm. I thought a couple of them. 2, the captain and the robot.
Yeah, I could see that. I like that her necklace didn't have any stupid significance. I know it's a really small thing, but I was thinking the whole time it's gonna unlock some door or some stupid bullshit like that, and it didn't. And I appreciate that they didn't do that stupid dumb shit. The action sequences, like I said, were amazing. I wanted it to feel more like a war movie because these people aren't Jedis, they're not like adventurers. This is like sort of more focusing on the actual war going on. So it felt more like a war movie. Like the scene, my least and most favorite action scene was when the rebels ambush that tank in Tatooine. And because that scene it looked like Black Hawk Down.
Yeah.
Like, it was amazing. But then later in that scene, that's something I don't like. I might get to that later.
Continue with just stuff you like. Big things first.
Yeah, the effects were amazing, obviously. That's almost a given, though.
Yeah, it looked really good.
It looked really good. The action sequences were amazing. The main character, like I said, was pretty good. It didn't... the necklace didn't have any significance. I mean, I'm not picking up on a whole lot of really specific things I enjoyed.
But there's a couple big things.
Yeah, there's a lot of big things. Like, there's a lot of action in the movie, and the action's really well done. And it's not just it's really well done. Every scene is really done well done, and it feels interesting or important
and necessary.
Yes.
Yeah. I agree with that. Like, I really like visuals were really good.
Yeah.
Shot really well. So they know how to do cinematography.
Yeah.
Action scenes were awesome. I thought a couple of the nostalgic tie-ins were well done. Most of them were bad. We're going to get to that.
Yeah.
I'll
let you handle that. I'm sure you'd love to.
Thank you. But there's two. They did the same thing twice that I thought was awesome. They had on Yavin 4 at the Rebel base. They have those big guard towers.
Yeah.
They didn't. Oh. They showed those, and they didn't make a big deal of it. I was like, "Wow, that looks just like that shot in A New Hope."
I didn't even think about the Rebel Guard towers. I knew about them because Star Wars Battlefront 2. They're on that one map.
They are. You can reuse them in that.
And I just really liked that shot. Like the cinematography was really good.
Yeah.
Like, just the sun coming up and the ship flying away. Although this is a problem I have.
Well, let's go to bigger problems first. So, what are the big problems with the movie you have?
Big problems with the movie. I thought it was a little bit too long, or I don't know what the runtime was, but
2.5 hours.
It felt too long. Okay, yeah, too long. They could cut out. There was way too many conflicts that didn't need to be happening. There's too many plot lines. The characters were garbage.
Except for the main.
Except for the main.
Yeah.
Garbage. All the side characters, garbage. Total garbage. It felt like there was a lot of wasted time. Which
is the stuff like all those side plots and whatnot.
Yeah. Not only side plots. Just like really, they added a lot of filler for a movie that with no filler would have been pretty long anyway. Like, it still would have been an hour and a half if they cut out, like, all the filler. And here's the thing, like, every time they leave a planet, there's a really big, really over-dramatic shot of them flying off that planet.
I remember
Is that.
that.
Me?
I remember that.
Me a little bit.
I remember thinking about it a little bit, but I didn't really think about it after the movie.
Yeah. So those are big things that bother me.
All right, so big things bother me. Characters, except for the main, were pretty bad. The nostalgic tie-ins made me want to kill myself.
Yes.
So I want to talk about Darth Vader's triumphant return.
Shut the fuck up.
Darth Vader's
shut the fuck up.
Darth Vader's triumphant return in his Halloween costume. Darth Vader's costume looks like a Halloween costume.
I think it literally was.
For the most part, if you weren't paying attention, you probably couldn't notice. But where his mask goes down into his collar, you could see the lip of the mask come up from his suit. So there's like a gap there. And his eyes were red. Did you notice that?
I did notice.
That was like
the first thing I noticed.
What the hell? Why are Darth Vader's eyes red in this movie?
He's not a bug man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, also, can we talk about? And you might want to touch this. Sorry if I stole your thunder. How his triumphant return. The first scene he was in, he was taking a bath. Not joking. The guy walks in to get him, and Darth Vader's taking a bath.
Darth Vader's in.
That's his triumphant. Like, it's Darth Vader. Like, even though I know it's cringy and shitty, just be like, oh well, here's Darth Vader. Like, you kind of still got to make it a big deal with Darth Vader.
Yeah, because it's Darth Vader. He's supposed to be intimidating.
You can't walk in on him having a fucking bath. Like, it's not. You're not Marvel. You can't just make these like silly jokes and sort of get away with it the way Marvel movies do. Like, you gotta.
Because those are comic book movies.
Yeah, and those are usually honestly first I feel like comedies.
You can't have slapsticks.
No.
So you can have, and here's the thing, is Darth Vader in his second scene, he makes a pun. He's choking white suit general man, and he says, I hope you don't choke on your responsibilities. And now, here's the thing. The pushback I'm going to get from this is that Darth Vader can be funny. But Darth Vader can be funny.
Yeah.
He is funny in Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
He is choking out all the Imperial officers that he's assigning to all his projects.
Yes.
And then he's like, okay, now it's your turn. So he kills one. He's like, okay, you're in that position now. And they're all like freaking out like, oh shit, he's going to kill me next. Yeah. And that's funny. But here's the difference. When he says, I hope you don't choke on your responsibilities, he's making a joke that he is supposed to think is funny. When he's killing his Imperial officers, it's a joke that the audience is supposed to think is funny. And that is my issue with all the humor in all movies nowadays. Not all movies. Most of these movies, especially Disney movies, is the humor are jokes that the characters in the movie are supposed to think are funny. The robot in this movie, every single one of his lines is a joke. And it's jokes that he thinks are funny and that some of the other characters think are funny.
And just say one sentence, I'm going to let you keep going. It's sitcom humor.
It's sitcom humor. And I love sitcoms.
It's not real humor, it's sitcom humor.
Seinfeld was the greatest television show of all time.
That doesn't work in a AAA movie.
No, it's the example. Like I'm going to compare the robot to C-3PO because it's a really easy comparison.
Yeah.
C-3PO is funny because he's a scaredy cat, and he's acting like a scaredy cat.
Sure.
Nobody thinks it's funny in the movie. Han Solo's not like, haha, C-3PO, you're freaking out in the ship, and we're going really fast. In this movie, this guy's making jokes about how he wants a gun, and they're like, yeah, right, like, we're gonna give you a gun.
I hadn't looked at it that way. Obviously, I knew it was cringy and bad, but I couldn't really articulate why. But you hit the nail on the head.
Thank you. I've been thinking about that a lot because it pisses me off.
Yeah, no, it does me too, and I think you made a really, really good point. That's exactly how I'd put it. It's if they could. Okay, so the humor in this movie, they literally could have put a laugh track to, and nobody would have even batted an eye.
You're right.
And that's okay, and not okay. So that maybe gets away with it okay a little bit, because people always, when you talk about this in the prequels and things, say, well, the original movies had jokes and funny parts. Yeah, absolutely, but also a point in addition to what you just said is I felt like this movie was supposed to be more serious.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I felt like they needed to stick with a more serious theme for this movie.
Yeah, especially
which for the most part, I feel like they did.
Yeah, except for the robot. I never felt like it was lighthearted, ever.
No.
Which I liked.
I thought it should be. Like I said, I wanted it to feel like a war movie.
Yeah, a war movie. It was like the big battle scene at the end felt like D-Day.
Yeah.
And they're storming Normandy or something. I want to get back to the nostalgic moments.
Yeah.
Because we mentioned those. And these make me angry also. Some of them were well done. Like the guard towers at the Rebel base on Yavin 4. Subtle, but still there to do that. What I have a problem with are shots and scenes that exist for no purpose other than to be like, hey, look at this guy. And there's a couple big ones. And let me say this first.
Okay.
Force Awakens was absolutely terrible at this. Force Awakens did this nonstop, and it is probably my least favorite thing about the movie. This movie was much better. They only had a handful of ones that I would say were very bad, but in my humble opinion, I think one of these in this movie, like just having one is too many and is bad. Bail Organa, Princess Leia's adopted father shows up in this movie. Shows up in this movie, and they're in the Rebel base. They're talking, and they're talking about something really important, and all of a sudden, Bail Organa walks into the room, and it starts the music like da 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 da. I was like, "This is really out of place," and I was like, it just bugged me. And same thing with Mon Mothma. They had a shot where they were just like they were. It was in the same scene. They were talking, and everybody stops talking, and they just show Mon Mothma for like 3 seconds, and then they start talking again. See the C-3PO and R2-D2 one at the end, or towards the end, wasn't bad. Yeah. Where they're in the hangar, I was like, okay, this is understandable that C-3PO and R2-D2 would be there.
Yeah, and also I think they wanted to illustrate that was that because they weren't really clear, but it was the same bunker that's in.
Well, I mean, it said Yavin 4. You know where Yavin 4 is.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Sure,
but it was funny. But Darth Vader wasn't bad. The only thing I didn't like, I was like, he didn't need to be killing a bunch of rebel soldiers with his lightsaber at the end.
No.
And this is my other nitpicky problem. Bigger nitpicky problem.
Yeah.
The ending I did not like. The very ending. I guess the epilogue wasn't very good. So they transmit the Death Star plans to the rebels. It gets onto Princess Leia's ship, but they don't say it's Princess Leia's ship. It's the Corellian Converter, or Corellian Corvette, sorry, is the name of Princess Leia's ship, but they don't say Princess Leia's ship. They say Corellian Corvette. So it's like, if you know the name of Princess Leia's ship, you'll be like, oh shit, that's Princess Leia's ship. And then the Tarkin's like, okay, we're going to kill the Rebel fleet, and Darth Vader's going to handle the Corellian Corvette. And movie could have just ended right there. And you would have been like, oh shit, New Hope is about to start right now. Yeah. That's cool. But then it went on for like 12 more minutes, where it's like, Darth Vader's going on to the ship, and he's killing all these rebel soldiers. And they're trying to race the Death Star plans to Princess Leia. And they hand it to Princess Leia, and she turns around, and they're like, what's this? And she's like, hope. And I'm like...
Yeah, I felt the exact same way. It did feel a little bit cheap that even though we didn't like the characters they all just dramatically killed off, and there were like one moment of glory like that they just showed, and like the characters we were with for this whole 2.5 hour long movie, and then at the last 12 minutes they just fuck off and just they're completely forgotten.
Set up the movie that already came out.
Yeah, set up the movie that came out
about 40 years
fucking
ago.
Yeah, that was annoying. I'm completely with you on
It
that.
just makes me feel stupid, you know. It's like, or like the filmmakers think I'm stupid.
Yeah,
Like I can't put two and two together.
yeah, no, that's how I feel about those cringy type of flashback things, or fan service in general. It's just like it's an insult to my intelligence. Like, I know that it's.
That's why
I
I'm
know
seeing
that it's
this damn movie.
I know that it's a new Star Wars movie. You don't have to remind me. Like, it's called A Star Wars Story. Like, I don't need any help knowing that. It's annoying to me. Also, I guess I liked. That's just something I like. I don't know if you want to focus on a particular topic right now. I like the fact that there was that the main character's dad, like, created the weakness. He made the weakness in the Death Star. That that made sense. It made a lot of sense, and it, because now people can't say, oh, why did they just put a piece of plywood on that shit or whatever. Because that was one of the main like plot holes in the entire thing, and they fixed it in a way that didn't fuck everything up.
Yeah,
that made sense, and it was interesting to me.
And it made her main character more interesting. Like now because she grew. This was her growing point. Before she didn't give a crap about anything. Yeah. She was just some scumbag like loser. She was going in and out of jail.
Yeah. And
her dad was wanted to be a rebel, but he was an engineer that worked for the Empire, and they held him captive and made him design the Death Star. Yeah. And he was really upset about that, so he hid the flaw, which is the reactor core and the vent leading to it, in the plans, and he used that to get it with her. And because of that, she was like, oh shit, my dad is fighting against this. I need to also.
Yes.
You're laughing.
No, because I just know what I was going to say to all that is, yeah, her dad, the most interesting character. Well, not the most. I'm just saying that
he was kind of.
He was actually.
He wasn't really in the movie.
I wasn't in the movie much, but I liked the role of his character. Not really the character himself. It made sense and it was interesting how it tied in and made the whole blowing up the Death Star with one bomb thing make sense, and it made a lot of sense. Here's the thing that doesn't make sense. He's smart enough to create the fucking Death Star, yet he can't send them a USB drive with the fucking plans. Why did he send them a message like, yo, I have the plans to the Death Star? It's like, if you sent them that message,
and he went through all that effort to get
the plans to the fucking Death Star. Like, it's the biggest plot hole in the whole movie. It's a gigantic plot hole. Like,
I don't think it's super noticeable, though. Yeah, I think it's a plot hole. It is definitely a plot hole, and it doesn't make sense. But they do a good job of.
They covered it up well.
Yeah,
they covered it up well. But it really bugged me. It really got to me at the end when they're all dying for this thing to get the satellite dish.
He went through all that effort to get a message explaining, and he goes into detail about the reactor and the vent to the reactor or the weakness. He goes through all that detail and explains it.
And here's the thing, and I said this to you during the movie. In the original Star Wars, where they blow up the Death Star the first time.
Yeah, what about it?
So before they go to that mission, you remember there's the briefing scene before the mission. They're like, okay, here's the vent. You got to put a bomb in that thing. That's all they needed to know. So her dad could have just sent the message saying, "Yo, there's a." But
he does say that,
right.
And he's saying you have to come get the plans. But this is what the plans say. And he went through so much effort to get that message out that it would have been the same if he sent the plans.
I honestly, really, seriously feel like I missed something because
they
didn't need the plan. Like, as far as I paid attention to, as far as
I mean, they have to know where the hole is.
Sure, but he could have surely just that can't be too hard. You know what I mean? To send that information. Like,
I guess. So.
I guess I understand that it's nearly the size of a planet. It might be a little hard to locate, but
no, it's like a moon.
Well, yeah, like a moon, but that's still pretty fucking big.
Moon.
And I fuck off. You literally just did the thing you were bitching about. Okay, but yeah, it seemed like a really huge gaping plot hole. I'm like, that's all. Like, when they blew up the Death Star, they needed 4 seconds of explanation of how to do it. Yet they need these plans that they all have to die for. It didn't make sense to me.
I agree.
But yeah, they did a good job covering that up, and the movie kept rolling at a really good pace, so you didn't have a lot of time to think about it. That's
because then the big action scene happened right there when the Death Star blew up that little town.
Yeah, and they had to escape. That was a good scene. It looked amazing too.
Yeah,
and also speaking of there's so many characters that don't matter that I completely forgot about until we were discussing it.
The pilot. There's two pilots. There's
pilot.
the defected Imperial pilot.
Yeah, him.
I forgot about him until right now.
Exactly.
The blind Asian guy, Danny Trejo Jr.
Poor man's Danny Trejo.
And the rebel pilot guy, I would have forgot about him if he wasn't in every single scene.
Yeah, me too. Here's what bothers me about that. As I was thinking about this, and right before I got here, I came to the conclusion they might have said nothing about him on purpose because they're going to release the Star Wars every fucking year now, and they might go into his backstory.
Maybe.
You never know.
Something like that.
You never know, because it seems like that's what troubles me about those movies.
It didn't seem like he had a backstory. It was like, he's a rebel pilot, here you go.
Yeah, and here's also the thing. The black guy with the beard that was like her stepdad or whatever, the main character.
Yeah, that raised her, but he was like he was like the militia
he went
rebel.
Too hardcore, and all the other rebels like didn't really want to do business with him. Well,
he did like terrorism.
Yeah, he was like which I mean that's what the rebels are.
Yeah, but he was like
he was
terrorist.
Icing like innocent people and stuff. I get that. I like that. I thought it was interesting to show conflict within. I want to actually talk about, before I say that, the rebels, like the portrayal of the rebels in this. I thought was really, really interesting and cool.
I agree.
Because they showed that guy kind of going rogue and fucking off. Like, for the whole time, the rebels were really only ever just said, like, yep, they're the heroes. Like, we didn't know anything about them, really. But I felt like more, like a really defining scene for me, it was really small, but I was like, whoa, when I saw it was. And then the ending battle scene, when they get reinforcements, when the rebels break through the force field and they're dropping, the one guy, as he's jumping out of the ship, is like, for the force! And I was like, that's interesting to, like, actually portray them as sort of an insurgency. Like, some of them are religious fanatics, some of them go too far. Like, they gave the rebels more of a personality as, like, a
not just
force.
The good guys.
Yeah,
I agree. And another aspect of that I liked is kind of the leadership within the rebels. Like, when they first showed Mon Mothma and Bail Organa was stupid, but they did good things in the rest of the movie. Yeah. Like, it was, like, there was the point when they knew about the Death Star plans, but they decided to not go get them and to just surrender. And, they were sitting there, and like it was interesting seeing how do the rebel leaders lead, and how is the hierarchy kind of ran around here, where it's like, this is how much power people like Mon Mothma and Bail Organa have over these people. Not
which
just
is way better
sitting there.
Than, oh, hey, look, it's Princess Leia. Logically, she's in charge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked it.
I did too. I like that a lot.
So, unless you have anything else big to say.
Anything big to say? Let me think about that for a second, actually. I feel like there's one like big thing in there I'm missing for some reason. Actually, I just wanted to stress one more time how I don't remember the first like 30 minutes of this movie.
Me neither.
Yeah, and that's a problem.
Yeah, I agree.
And about this movie in particular, I have nothing else to say, but it does worry me that they're not going to be able to keep doing this. They're not going to be able to release a Star Wars every year and have it be consistently good. It's just not going to work.
No, hell no. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, and that's what this movie worries me, because this one was actually pretty good, but in general. But, like, I just don't like that they're going for this whole expansive universe, trail-off movies and trying to make the universe more important than...
Well, isn't that what the books did? I like the Star Wars books. I like the Star Wars expand. I didn't read a ton of them, but I liked what I read.
Yeah,
I think it doesn't matter if you're expanding the universe or not. I think you just want to make good freaking movies.
Well, no, I didn't. I guess I trailed off on that. I just mean I think there's going to be too many. Yeah, it's just going to burn itself out, like Assassin's Creed or something, where there's one released every 6 months and nobody cares anymore. Like, I remember when I sat down to this movie, I've been to like all the prequels. I was at all the premieres. Granted, I was very young, but
me too.
I remember sitting down for that one. Maybe it's because I'm older, but I was like, wow, this is like the lowest energy Star Wars premiere I've ever been to.
I agree. Like, people started clapping during the Lucasfilm logo, but it was like, the theater wasn't full.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah, I agree. And it's oversaturation of the film market. And Disney's got a huge control on that with Marvel and Star Wars right now. Yeah. And that's just what happens. Like, these movies aren't being made by filmmakers.
No.
You can't go to this movie and say, oh, that's a George Lucas movie. You can't say, that's a Martin Scorsese movie. This isn't a Quentin Tarantino movie. It's a Disney movie.
Yeah.
And you can't, when a big group of people are making a movie, even if there is an artistic theme or an artistic idea, an artistic basis, the more people that are working on this movie, the more people whose hands are in the pot, that theme gets diluted.
Right. It has very little... Because even though Marvel movies and Star Wars movies generally now, I guess, are the same thing pretty much, are generally good. I feel what you mean, where they start to have a lack of personality after a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I totally get that.
It loses its point.
Right. And yeah, let's just roll on this for another minute. Let's not talk about. Let's just, since we're on this boat, let's not talk about the movie itself, because I think we pretty much covered that. There are some little things that we could talk, like how when the blind Asian guy kicked sand in the stormtrooper's face and it worked.
Yeah, that was goofy.
I almost walked out of the theater. I honestly, that was the thing that bothered me. He kicked sand in a
from the ground.
From the ground.
The stormtrooper was standing.
Yeah.
They're both about the same height. He kicked on the ground, and the sand flew up and went to the stormtrooper's
and
face.
he was like, "Ugh!" And then he got kicked. And I was like,
"Stormtrooper.
What do stormtroopers have, kids?
Masks.
They have masks." And I'm pretty sure in one of the prequels they actually went into the fact that they actually have like filtration systems. And shit.
Because of the clones and whatnot.
Like, it was just dumb. But
yeah,
other
little
than
dumb
things like that, there's nothing to say else about the movie. But I guess I just want to talk a little bit more about this whole redoing of Star Wars comeback, even though it never really went away.
Yeah. Well, Star Wars has always been big.
Yeah.
The original trilogy are classic movies. And the difference is, like I said, it's made by a filmmaker, a person who has a plan and is executing that plan. Now, there are movies nowadays that are made like that. Hateful Eight came out a year ago.
Right.
There's other examples I can go into, but I don't care about talking about it.
Right.
These are made by groups. They're made by corporations. I don't get on that anti-corporation bandwagon, but it's like it's a big group of people that are there to make money. And I have nothing wrong with that. If you're going to be a filmmaker, I want you to make money if you're making movies.
Especially because to make a AAA movie is so expensive now, you almost have to understand that in order with the CGI and stuff, like, to make somebody walk across a room costs millions of dollars in, like, the level of technology they have. So you know that they have to make money. So it's like you can kind of forgive them a little bit.
Yeah, I don't care about people making money, but it's like...
No, that's not what I meant.
Their goal is to just put something out, make some money off of it, make another one, make some more money off of it, make another one, and so on and so forth.
Right.
And they're losing, like I said, the artistic vision is getting diluted simply because there's so many movies. The market is oversaturated by Disney movies right now.
Way.
And there are too many movies, and it's just too many people working on these movies.
Yeah, generally speaking, I think what you're saying is, and obviously other than what you just said, I know what you said, but another way to put it, I guess, is that a movie franchise or a show, anything, needs to have a beginning, middle, and end. And right now it feels like we're in one of those like shows that has like 11 seasons where you're just stuck in the eternal middle. You just feel like
they've jumped the shark.
Yeah, you just feel like you're in purgatory and nothing
holds much weight anymore.
Holds weight because you know it's never going to end.
Yeah, and that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, so it diluted it in that way.
So on 1 to 10, what would you give this movie?
Okay, the negative things I have to say about the movie are, a lot of them are minor, but there are a lot of them, and there are a lot of major ones. But the biggest concerns I have with the movie don't have to do with the movie itself. So the movie itself, I would put at like a 7.5.
Damn, that's a lot higher than I had it.
Really?
I would give it like a 6.
Well, 7.5, only 0.5. But yeah. I generally thought it was interesting for the reasons I outlined.
Nice.
But yeah, so obviously neither of us thought it was a great movie.
No. Just for comparison, what would you give Force Awakens?
And again, this is subject to change because we just saw it, but now I would give Force Awakens like a 2.5, 3.5.
I'd give it a 3.5.
Yeah.
Just for comparison.
Yeah.
But thank you for watching. We're going to be doing these. This is a really long video.
Yeah, probably.
Watch it again.
Yeah.
Tell your friends. The Big Fresh is back.
And the logo is going to come up right here. Put your hands up. Hold the logo.
Wow.
Wow.
I can feel it in my hands.
That's a great logo.
Look at this logo, you guys.
Holy shit.
All right. So thank you. Check out our other crap. This is the Big Fresh. Casey, Chase, catch you on the flippity flop.
Stay hydrated.